How's everybody doing today? Good to see you all on this lovely, I'm just trying to clean my glasses here, Monday morning for another burst of innovation. I'm excited for today's. I'm always excited because I love the stuff we cover. Hopefully it helps you go a little further, a little faster. Hey, Kirby, I'm glad you're doing wonderful. Nice. I'm not going to lie. I think some of you know this, but I was on vacation last week in Mexico. And so I'm feeling very refreshed and like ready to go. And today's burst of innovation, we are going to dig into the power of reframing, how to shift how we see our problems, our opportunities, our challenges. I'm going to cover this high level. Before I do that, I just want to remind all of you, I know I see some of your names and some of you are already signed up for the Big Ideas Challenge because we kick off today. We got our lunchtime kickstart. We're going to go over the challenge. We're going to talk about how the prizes work all the time. There's a lot of them, actually. We're going to talk about your first 10-minute exercise, which is actually a springboard off of this. So think of this as like a warm-up. In fact, let me put that link in the show, in the thing so I don't forget. I know some of you are already in there. So I cannot wait. I could not be more excited. It's 10 days of innovation where we're actually not just talking about it in kind of the 10 minutes that we have here, but actually doing it and building the innovation as we go. Let me show you what I got in preparation. Ready? I got my popcorn bucket where I'm going to put all my ideas, and I got my sticky notes to put them all down. You know, I love my sticky notes. It's going to be so good. We're going to reframe our thinking. We're going to add a fresh thinking every day. I'm going to send you a 10-minute exercise to do in the morning, starting with our lunchtime one today. All right, let's get to today's. Oh, and let me just say, yeah, so sorry, I just got the question. No, it is not too late. You can go ahead and sign up still because the Kickstart starts at 11 o'clock, so 2 hours my time. All right, let's talk about the power of reframing. Oftentimes, what gets us stuck is we're trying to look at our challenge in the same way. We're trying to kind of solve everything from the same perspective and the same lens. I like to think of it as looking through a camera, but always having our focus on the exact same thing. How many times have you looked at a picture you took and later on you see something in the back that you didn't even notice before because your focus is on whatever was on the forefront? Well, reframing is a little bit of the same way. It's a little bit like a camera. And when we reframe the things that we're working on, whether that's kind of a task, a challenge, or a problem, or an opportunity, it does a couple of things. First of all, I'm looking at my notes here. First of all, it generates more options because we're reframing and focusing on different things. It removes some of the initial walls that maybe the people that we work with have, even ourselves, the resistance we have to solving our challenge or to going after the opportunity. I'm going to talk about that in a second, but it actually removes some of the walls and it changes the solutions we come up with. Obviously, where we start is where we end. So if we change our focus in the beginning, if we reframe, we change where we're headed. Now, let me just say before I dig in here, if you're new, I see some new names on here. Hi, if you're new, this is interactive. So if you've got questions, put them in the chat bar. If you've got insights or ahas, put them in the chat bar. We all learn from each other. If you're not new, if you're regular to this, hey, put your insights and ahas and questions in the chat bar. Show them how it's done because I know you know. Okay, let me share some reframes that I've been doing. Actually, I did in this last couple of weeks that have really helped me. And I want you to think about these when you're doing your work. So I don't know if you've noticed, but like when we come to our teams and we go, we have a problem, that puts up these initial walls with people. If someone comes to you and says, I have a problem, what's your initial reaction? It's actually kind of visceral, right? People kind of clam up a little bit. It's human nature. Problems have a lot of baggage attached to them, a lot of emotional baggage attached to them. So instead of a problem, I have a challenge. Well, a challenge is something you can get over. A challenge can be exciting. I'm not saying sugarcoat, but I want you to think about how you reframe how you think about things. What if a problem was a challenge to solve? What if a problem was an opportunity to go after? Those small little reframes can make all the difference. Here are my two favorite. What if you're not going outside your comfort zone? What if instead you're expanding your comfort zone? I love this one because it always drives me crazy when people say, step outside your comfort zone. Well, why would I do that? That sounds horrible. It sounds scary. I don't know. Thank you. But if you tell me I'm expanding my comfort zone, which is really what you're doing, because once you do it, right, it's no longer outside anyway, it completely reframes how you think about that risk you need to take, that thing you need to speak up and say, that conversation that you need to have, if you're really more about expanding your comfort zone. And the last one is, instead of asking people to do the hard things, ask them to do the right things, the smart things. Those are the things that pay off later. Yes, it might suck, it might be hard, but it's the right thing. And with that frame of reference, it's actually doable. So, do you see how those little reframes make all the difference, from problem to challenge to opportunity, from outside your comfort zone to expanding your comfort zone, from doing the hard things to doing the smart things or the right things? That last one has made a huge difference for me as I've built my business over the years. Sucking up and doing the hard things really weighed down on me because it's no fun. It sucks. And I'm all about doing the hard things. Don't get me wrong. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, I'll do the hard things, but I don't do them because they're hard. I do them because they're right and they pay off later. And that little reframe made all the difference for me. So let's bring this down, to your world and what you deal with. Here's what I want you to think about. I'm going to throw out a challenge, and I want you to just give me some reframes in the challenge. And we're going to think about this as a camera lens of where we focus on the challenge. And that reframe could be a new question, a new focus, a new way to look at the challenge. Are you ready for it? Someone give me a yes in the panel. Make sure you're all there. There's so many of you. It's so good. Give me a yes in the panel. In the chat bar. See if I know what I'm talking about today. All right, Marina. Yeah. All right, Mary T. Awesome. Okay. All right, Jose. Awesome. Okay. You ready for it? Here we go. Here's the challenge I want to give you, and I want you to try to reframe. And here's the beautiful part. This is just hypothetical. This is just like us trying the stuff out. So anything goes. If you think it, say it, put it in the chat bar. This is the place to test and experiment. In the challenge, what I'm so excited about, the Big Ideas Challenge, is we're actually going to dive in and do these and apply them directly to your world. Actually, I've got 8 more exercises for you that are just as good. Okay, here's the challenge. Here we go. You are the owner of a building, and an office building, and the people in the building are complaining. A lot of people are complaining because the elevator is too slow at lunch. So they're complaining that they're missing half of their 30-minute lunchtime because they're waiting for the elevators. They're too slow. How do you reframe that problem? You're the owner of this building, office building. Everybody across the floors is complaining because the elevators are too slow. They're spending half their lunch waiting for elevators that go slow, and they're missing their one lunchtime. How do you reframe? And again, think about and put it in one sentence or one phrase. How about thinking about, remember, camera lens, right? How do you focus differently? Tell them to take the stairs, get in shape, and feel much better. Yes. All right, Mary T. I'm totally with you on that. I am a stair taker. Let's say, for the purpose of this exercise, you got to fix the problem in some way. So let's say some people take the stairs. You convince some people, but there's still people complaining. How else do we reframe this? And I will help you along in a minute, but I want to get some of yours. You're all the brilliant ones, so I want your ideas in here. All right, just give me it in a sentence. Mary T, thank you for kicking us off, by the way. Love the stairs. I think we got some people to take them. People are still complaining. What do we do? How do we reframe the problem? Sarah says, bring your lunch to work week while we fix. Love it. Great. Marina says, have food delivery come up to the building before lunchtime. Okay. Oh, yeah, I like that too. Have vending machines on every floor instead, so people don't even have to use the elevators. These are awesome. And I want you to think about, you guys are so good. I love these. I want you to think about some other ways to reframe. In the challenge, install TVs in the elevators. Love it, right? Give them something to look at while they're waiting. Love it. Okay, good. These are good. In the challenge that I gave you, right, everybody's complaining about lunchtime because they're all waiting for the elevators. So another way to reframe it could be to think about, well, is the problem the elevators, or is the problem that everybody's taking lunch at the same time? Is the problem the speed of the elevators, or is it the problem that we're only giving people 30 minutes for lunch, right? That's focusing in a different place on the challenge itself. See what I'm saying? Or, right, so you said bring food up. So is the problem that everybody has to go buy their own food, or is it the problem that the elevators are actually too slow? All a reframe of the challenge that you're facing. So let me just summarize really quickly. You guys did such an amazing job. So let me summarize really quickly. Reframing is about, I like to think of it as shifting the camera lens, right? Shifting the focus on the lens and what you're looking at, whether that's a task, a problem, or an opportunity. Sometimes that means changing your language from like, it's a problem to a challenge. It's hard to, it's smart. It's out of your zone to expanding your zone. It's a problem. It's an opportunity. So that's changing your language and how you think about what you're working on. For me, that makes a huge difference. I think we really underestimate the power of language and how different the outcomes are when we change our language. I always say when I'm speaking with people, you change your language, you change your outcomes. And believe me, I'm not an English major. I'm not a grammar kind of police person, but I'm very aware, and I've seen the behavioral psychology, the science behind how different words in particular set us down different paths. So the word problem actually puts people's boundaries up before you've even gotten into it. So that's number one. The second part is changing your focus. So are we focusing on the elevator speed? Are we focusing on the people? Are we focusing on the time, right? There are so many different variables inside the challenge. And the key is to pull them out and then innovate on those different variables. In fact, that's what we're going to do for our first one in our innovation challenge, our big ideas. I know I keep saying it, but I could not be more excited. All right, everybody. So what I want to close this out is I want you to put in the chat bar what's one thing you're going to do today to reframe your problem, your challenge, what you're working on. Just give me a phrase or a sentence of what you're going to reframe or how you're going to reframe it so that you can get to those different solutions. And as you're typing, let me just remind you that it generates more options. That's why we want to reframe, right? So instead of just giving a normal options, it generates more. We remove those initial barriers that people put up when we're trying to solve problems in a certain way, and it changes the solutions that we come up with, right? So taking the stairs and delivering lunch are very different solutions than fixing the elevator problem. So Mary T says, oh, Jose says, awesome, excellent. Mary T says, look at the benefits of the challenge I have. It can be exciting. Yeah, right. Look at the opportunities of it. Focus on solutions, not problems. Yeah. So I love saying, instead of what's the problem, what's the opportunity here? It completely changes how you solve a problem. And I'm not sugarcoating it, right? Even in the opportunity, there's some muck to get through, but I think it helps us go in with a positive mindset, and that positive mindset feeds our ability to innovate. So I love that, Mia. That's fantastic. Yeah, focus on the positives. Yeah. And again, and I think, Mia, you know this, focusing on the positives doesn't mean we ignore the reality, but it means we see it through a lens of possibility and not through a lens of pain. Look at the hard stuff from the lease of it's not challenge. If it's not challenging, I'm not growing. Yeah, I love that, Kirby. When someone says they have a problem, I normally say, oh yeah, tell me about it. So I ask that question. I like that. I like it, Kirby. And I might ask them, hey, is it a problem or is it a challenge? Is it a challenge to solve? And I bet you'll see them switch of like how they talk about it too. Like it changes people instantly how they talk about it. All right, everybody. I'd love to see some reframing happening this week. One of the things I'm hearing a lot about kind of in the universe and the world is how people are frustrated and exhausted, right? Just right. They need like light at the end of the tunnel. Believe me, I get it. That's why I think this vacation last week was so powerful for me, because it was like, oh, I finally get a break. But reframing is going to help us get there. So we can't shift our realities if we don't reframe the reality that we're in. We can't ignore it, but we can reframe it. All right, what is it? Rather than saying I need to get XYZ done today, I will say, how can I do XYZ today and do it better? Oh, I love that. How can I do it? I love that, Jose. You know, there's one thing that there's a book called The One Thing. I don't know if you've read it. And the thing that says in there, what can I do to, what's the one thing I can do today that makes all of the things easier or relevant? I think that's how the question goes. So I love Jose starting off with that, like not here's my to-do list, what do I do? But like, what's the one thing if I did that makes everything else easier or even irrelevant, which there's always something. There's always something if we did that then the other things become easier or less important, frankly. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you found this exercise invigorating. Yeah, just a little reframing. That's all. All right. For most of you who are going to be there, I will see you at the Big Ideas Challenge. We're actually going to dig into this even more and actually apply it to your world. So get ready. All right. Have a great week. Do some reframing. I'll see you all next time.